When I was in Iraq, I'd gotten hit in the chest, and when I hit the ground out of the back of the Humvee that I was riding in at the time, it had separated my back, so I was numb from the waist down. They told me they didn't know if I'd ever walk again. Once I could start feeling my legs again, I said, okay, I'm not going to be sitting in a chair all my life. And about 6 months later, the doctor said, well, we're going to have braces on you. And I said, no, you're not. And I got up and I walked out of the room. I joined the military in 1983. The first time I went to Iraq is when I was in Saudi Arabia in 90 and 91. Then in 2002, I went back to Iraq. Once I was retired, I found out that I had a whole lot of spare time on my hands. And for the first little bit, it took me a little while to get used to it. I knew I had a problem with sudden loud noises. I would literally drop to the ground. In the military, you were taught that if you have any of these kinds of problems, you're broken. Therefore, you're no good. So I started thinking that, I need to go see some people because this isn't right, because I'm not basically adjusting to society. In my mind, I was still in the military. So I went up there to the PTSD intake and filled out some paperwork and had some college professor, I think, tell me that I had PTSD. What contributes to it is definitely being blown up once, being shot, and just the constant little niche in the back of my head going, you almost died. Wow, you almost died.
A Helping Hoof is an organization, a business designed to use horses to help people with depression, anxiety, confidence, self-esteem, communication. I started it because I knew there were going to be a lot of veterans coming back from the Middle East with mental health problems as far as symptoms that were going to be a problem for them when they were reintegrating into our society.
The horses help me with PTSD because I can relate to them on a one-on-one attitude. They think the exact same way people with PTSD have. They have a flight or fight mode, like all soldiers do. When you start working with a horse, you start understanding a horse. And therefore you can translate it back to yourself, like, well, I don't like that, neither does this horse. Wonder why. And then you start thinking about it.
I've done a lot of different kinds of therapy, and I've worked with a lot of different kinds of people, and this is probably one of the most touching and heartwarming kinds of therapy I've ever done, as far as seeing the horses and the humans benefit from it and learn from it and engage in it. They've told me that they get things out of this program that in 40 years since the Vietnam War they haven't felt. And we had a young guy come out one time, and he just stood, he didn't even touch her, he just stood looking at the big black horse out there, and he started to cry. And he just said this is so different from where he was, because he came back from Iraq. And just watching people be able to get things that they feel, things, experience things that were taken away from them because of the trauma that the veteran experienced while they were in the military, makes some of the struggles of coordinating and expense, makes it worthwhile.
I'm not being judged by the horses, and I'm not judging the horse. And I know they're not trying to blow me up or shoot me or do any of the other million other things that have probably happened to me over the years. I come out here for relaxation. I don't let any of the everyday things get to me anymore.